For me, one of the greatest joys of being a human and being alive is the ability to create and to appreciate art. Listening to incredible albums, watching expressive cinema, reading the most intriguing stories and poems ever written, going to plays and musicals, and finding inspiring visual artwork from history, those are some of the experiences that make life worth living. There is such an extensive, ethereal collection of art made by humanity over the past 5,000 years. From the Egyptians to the Greeks, to the Renaissance, to the Impressionists, to the Beatles, to Kendrick Lamar. We are so unbelievably lucky to be alive at a time where we can look back on the best of all human creation. We can seek the greatest art made by our ancestors and search for new art being made by inspired creators today. In an era when much of the world, much of the internet, and much of society feels negative, I always find hope and happiness in human creation. About 2 years ago, I began a personal project. I wanted to create a list of my favorite human creations from every single year since 1500. I had become newly obsessed with art history, thanks to an extraordinarily passionate and excited professor I had in my first year of college. I learned so much about so many different artists and periods thanks to that class, and when the 15 weeks were up, I very much wanted to continue learning about art history. So I did just that, and used this project as motivation to dive deeper into different eras and different styles throughout the past 600 years. I called this project Best Human Works. Every moment that I had a little bit of free time, I would research art from a specific year, like 1534 or 1622 or whatever year I happened to be on. I would discover which artists were most popular at that time and what they were working on that year. Wikipedia actually ended up being a good resource for this project, since they have comprehensive lists of the most popular paintings and sculptures from each specific year. I would look through every single painting I could find, and at the very end I would choose my personal favorite, whichever piece I felt the deepest connection to or felt was the most beautiful. Then I'd move on to the next year. Because this was a background project, it ended up taking over a year to complete. I no doubt sifted through tens of thousands of paintings and sculptures, which, let me tell you, was an amazing experience for me. I feel like taking on this project gave me such a large database of inspiration for my own artwork. As the years went on, some of my best human works ended up being things like poems, books, movies, or albums. However, you won't see many of those on the list for another few centuries. This project is how I discovered some of my favorite artists of all time. Obviously, I love Monet and Van Gogh and some of the more well-known creators of human history, but this project also allowed me to discover and fall in love with the work of Peter Paul Rubens, Fragonard, Delacroix, and others who I wasn't too familiar with beforehand. There is so much more I could say about nearly every piece in this collection, but I think it's more powerful to just show you the art and let you interpret it on your own as it passes by on your screen. As we go on, hopefully you will discover some new favorite paintings, sculptures, and favorite artists. The 1500s was arguably the most important century in art history. Everybody has heard of the Renaissance and the world-changing artists who led this evolution of art. Michelangelo, Da Vinci, Raphael, Donatello, but there are so many more Renaissance-era artists that you may not have heard of. Titian, Dürer, Bosch, Correggio, those are some of my favorites from this video's exhibition. And as we move into the later 1500s in the next video, you'll get to see the work of Veronese, Vasari, El Greco, and Peter Bruegel. There are so many incredible creators in art history, and I hope this series can introduce you to some of their most inspiring work. In today's video, episode 1, we are simply covering some 1400s paintings that I wanted to include to get us started, and then diving into my selections from the years 1500 to 1550. I do plan to make this a series if it is well received. I got a lot of support for my last video, and I would love to continue sharing amazing artwork with my subscribers. If I can show you even just one piece of art that you really like in each video, that would make this all worth it. The last thing I want to say is about the spirit of this list. I'm only 20 years old, and I hope that as I get older, this list changes drastically. I want to find more artwork in small European museums. I want to discover more forgotten literature, watch more silent films, and listen to more old jazz albums. The entire point of this list, this collection of the best human works of every year from 1500 to 2025, is that it is an ever-changing list for me. I love going back and choosing new favorites from years past, editing and changing my favorites as I find more art. So please, if there are any paintings or sculptures from the time period that you like that didn't make it into this collection, leave a comment and tell me about it. Just as I'm sharing my favorites with you, I want you all to share your favorites with me. I hope that you enjoyed the first part to this series. I have a lot more to talk about and a huge library of more artwork to show you. Comment your favorite painting from this collection down below, and like and subscribe if you want to see an episode 2 covering some of the best work from the late Renaissance. Thank you for watching, and remember, never stop creating.